Already ready.
All right, so once we get settled on the floor, lying on our back with the block between our knees, finding the breath. This is our primary tool and the foundation before we initiate any movement in the body, checking in so that we feel that the belly rises and falls. If we're noticing a lot of movement in the chest or the heart space, we could always encourage the breath to fill in the stomach first. And then as the lungs continue to fill, maybe we lift the chest a little bit, meet the body where it is. Then relax the heart, roll the breath out, pull the navel down into the spine. Inhaling into the belly first. Maybe keep the breath there, let it spread out to the hips and press into the low back, or let it move up into your chest, slightly lifting the ribs. Exhale, relax the chest, ribs, pull the navel into the spine, adding in just a soft contraction with a little bit more effort into that navel to spine action. Pause, inhale in through the nose. Exhale as if you're fogging a mirror. Keeping the body relaxed. Inhaling, belly, ribs, heart, absolutely no rush. Exhale, heart, ribs, and belly. You could even begin to count the breath. So as we inhale, pacing it, breathing in, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 3, 2, 1. So the breath, again, it could be in 3 parts, from the belly to the heart. It could be just in the belly, focusing more on the equal ratio with the count and focusing more on keeping that breath in the stomach region, making sure it initiates in the belly. Start to add in a squeeze into that block only when you exhale. As we inhale, our grasp with the thighs is very loose on that block. Pause at the top of the breath, kumbhaka, to add in a pause to embrace the breath. Then squeeze that yoga block as tightly as possible and exhale. Relaxing the jaw while we create active tension in the pelvic floor, hips, and thighs. Pause again, kumbhaka. Relax the thighs, inhale. Pause, embracing the fullness of the breath, squeeze the thighs, and exhale. At least 2 or 3 more rhythmic cycles of breath like this, adding in those small pauses, just a little breathing intermission so that we're able to dissect the breath, giving the body time to appreciate each inhale and each exhale. When you're ready, let's take our yoga block and place it just off to the side of our mat. We are going to use it later. Let's lift both of our heels, take the hands onto the sides of the thighs, draw the knees in towards the chest, holding on to the sides of the thighs or behind the kneecaps. As we draw the knees in, we might lift the tailbone off the ground a little bit. This does create more flattening in the low back, so sometimes it can feel like a yummy stretch. But with that flattening in the low back, it can also create uncomfortable and distracting sensations, aka pain. If you're feeling any distracting sensations, rock your knees away until we feel that the tailbone and sacrum are level to the floor. When we do this, we will feel a little lift in the belly or in the navel. That means that we're in more of a neutral spine position, usually less pain there. Inhale, push the knees away. Exhale, pull the knees in. We're just gonna roll in and out. Imagine your spirit animal is a roly-poly or a pill bug. Inhale, push the knees away, allowing the lower stomach and abdominal region to be soft for the breath. Exhale, pull the knees in, allowing the thighs to press against the abdomen, just adding a little bit more pressure into that contraction. Inhale, knees away. Exhale, knees pull in. Let's do one more. Rocking along that sacrum and tailbone, and also just introducing some new elements of pressure to your kidneys and adrenal glands. Now, eventually, let your right leg go down to the floor. Only keep the left knee in. Let's straighten only the left leg up towards the ceiling, and then push through your heel and point the toe. So we're doing a few flex and points, then roll that ankle in one direction, at least 6 to 8. Switching directions, 6 to 8 circles. Finding that still point, point and flex again. And of course, if we notice that intuitively the body could benefit from more ankle rolls, go ahead and fit a few more of those in. When you're ready, we're lowering our left foot to the floor, lifting our right heel so we keep a pointed toe as we sweep our right leg towards the ceiling, and then moving into that flex and point action. Remembering this is not only for mobility, for stretching ligaments, tendons, muscles, fascia. This is also for lymphatic drainage. So there are some added immune system benefits to this. Roll it out. We might notice that one ankle is more poppy than the other, or maybe it's just popping more in one direction, as long as it's not creating pain. Returning to that point and flex again. And again, remember intuitively, if you notice that you want to roll it out, keep rolling it out. When the body's ready, we're lowering both feet down to the floor, grabbing our yoga block once more between the knees and the thighs. It could be in the most narrow position, or we might go out one more time, just noticing where we're experiencing the most comfort. So for the most part, when we put the block in the most narrow position, this is going to stretch the outer hip more. If we know that we've had a lot of tightness in the outer hips, it may not feel good. So you can always adjust the width of that block. From here, keeping a firm grasp on that block, let's press our hands down onto the floor with the palms facing down, looking straight up at the ceiling, keeping our neck in alignment with the middle back and the tailbone. Press the palms of the hands and the elbows down into the floor, and maybe begin to feel like you're lifting your middle back or even your shoulder blades off the floor. Push straight down into your feet and start to lift and hover your hips. Exhaling, lowering down through the middle back and lowering the hips. Inhaling, pressing down into the floor, keeping the shoulder blades touching the floor, but maybe we just feel a lift in the middle back. Push down into the feet, engage the buttocks muscles, hover the hips, coming into bridge. Exhale, lowering down. Finding our breath so that we can rhythmically flow, choreographing the movement, lifting with the inhale, squeeze the yoga block. At the top of the breath, squeeze it harder and lower down. Big exhale. Keeping a hold on that block. Inhale, lift. Deeper squeeze, exhale. Lower down. We're keeping this rhythm moving with our own breath, remembering there's absolutely no rush through this. no matter how fast we move, this is a 45-minute class. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many repetitions. It doesn't matter how fast, how slow. The true mark or the intention here that gives us purpose is the endurance, just to stick with it for 45 minutes. One more inhale, big breath. Option to lift, deeper squeeze and lower it down. Inhale, bringing both arms overhead. Nice big reach. Reach more with the right hand. And now more with the left. Imagine you're climbing a rope behind you instead of a rope towards the ceiling. Climbing a rope behind us. Feeling as if we're able to shift the shoulder blades as we exaggerate the extension and the reach in each arm. Eventually reach with both hands, feeling the shoulder blades as level as possible. Then lowering our hands down beside our hips into that original position. Let's take our block just off to the side. Bring the feet out to the width of your yoga mat. Moving into windshield wiper knees. Big breath in. Exhale, knees sway over to the left. And the knees may or may not touch the floor. It could just be half our range of motion. Inhale, bring it up through center. Exhale, knees twisting over to the right. Keeping that choreographed movement so that every breath inspires us to move with intention and with more mindfulness. Sometimes it can be challenging to go, oh, did she say to do this on the inhale or on the exhale? One thing to help us remember is anytime we're squeezing the body, it's an exhale. It's going to be detoxing.
We're keeping the hips on the floor.
Oh, that's a good question. The hips are peeling up off the floor with this. So when the knees sway over to the left, chances are your right hip is going to come up. In fact, this is a progressive movement that we've experimented with before. So let's try it. Bring your knees to center and let both of your knees twist over to the right. While you're here, squeeze the left buttocks cheek, push into your left foot so it pushes your left hip farther away from the ground. Press your left shoulder down towards the ground while the left hip comes up. Slowly bring it to center. Inhale. Exhale, both knees go to the left. Squeeze through the right buttocks. Push into the right foot and press the right shoulder down into the ground. Inhale up through center. Exhale, twist right. Thrust up with the left hip. Imagine you're reaching towards the mirrors with your left knee. So that left knee is reaching to pull your left hip away from your ribs. Come to center. Just one more like that. Exhale over to the left. Push into the right foot. Imagine that right knee is being pulled down and out of the hip socket. Press the right shoulder towards the floor. And now bring it to center. Inhale here. From here, let's extend both legs out straight just for a moment. And straight is relative. We could always keep a deep bend in the knees. That can be very helpful for preventing injury. Extend the arms overhead, stretching the body out like a stick. Big inhale, pointing the toes, lifting the middle ribs, reaching dynamically through the fingertips. To safely come out of this big body extension, lower the arms first and relax the shoulders. Let's bend one knee at a time and let the knees sway soft, giving us a moment to decide which side do we want to roll over onto, and eventually rolling over into side lying. Holding it there for at least 2 or 3 breaths, giving the spine a little bit of time to organize the vertebral column, and also just being a little kinder to blood pressure by moving slow. We're noticing where our hands are, using maybe that top arm for support, to slowly come up and meet in a seated position with support under the hips and low back. Let's keep a really big bend in the knees and walk the feet out so that you can try to fit your stomach between your thighs. The whole point of this movement is to introduce a stabilization in the outer hip. The outer hip can get tight, but it's not necessarily stable. So trying to stabilize that. You can lift your toes or point the toes. There's usually a difference. The body is going to naturally do one or the other. Just know if you feel cramping in your feet, don't do that. Do something else, right?
Pretty sure one wants to do one and then do the other.
That's Cirque du Soleil, sir.
No.
No, I'm kidding. That's good. It's good to know if they're doing different things. It could be insightful as to where ligaments are pulling versus where one side might be more loose. Or it could be where one side could use more strength training and other side could use more mobility training. All right.
Could be nerve damage.
It could be nerve damage. All right, inhale, sit tall. Hold on to the sides of the thighs or behind the thighs. Come forward, gently coming forward. We want to feel like there's a pinch at the top of the thighs, and not a pinch in the way of painful, but a pinch in the way of truly folding the pelvis bone over onto the thighs. From here, sit nice and tall, straightening the arms, pull the ribs in. You don't have to tuck the tailbone, but you're welcome to try it a little bit, but you don't have to. Again, tucking the tailbone is going to flatten the low back. It's more compression for that sciatic nerve region. Coming forward, lead with the ribs, pull the heart up, maybe look up to where the wall meets the ceiling, or maybe look all the way up. Exhale, drop the chin towards the chest and sternum. Pull the ribs in and round the upper back. Rounding through the lower back is an option, not imperative. Inhale, coming forward, neutral low back. Pulling the ribs through, lift the ribs, lift the chin. More important to shift the eyes up towards the ceiling than moving the whole head and neck. Work with the optic nerve first. When you're ready, find the exhale, drop the chin, pull the ribs in, and drop the head. Let's try a few of those flowing, choreographing, breath and movement. Inhale forward, ribs and heart lift, open through the throat, soft gaze. Exhale, chin comes down, ribs pull in, open the middle back. Inhale forward, spine extension, softly strengthening the upper back and neck. Exhale, pull the ribs in and drop it down. Just one more, reminiscent of seated cow, and then relax, seated cat position. From here, coming to neutral, let's bring our right leg in and extend the left leg out, only as far as the body is in agreement with that extension. You could always keep a very big bend in that left knee. This usually bending the knees, well, truly anatomically, when you bend your knees, less pulling on the low back. And it can be different from left to right. So go wherever the body goes. Let's inhale, both arms up. Reach more with the left hand. Lower the right hand down. Peel up that left hip. Fold the leg in. Both hands coming down onto the floor. Inhale in place. Exhale, bend your elbows. Slowly begin to lower down. And it might even be your head or your nose just kind of hovers over the floor. Keep the right hand on the floor. When you're ready, push up. Left hand comes up. Keep the right hand on the floor. Push the left hip back. Turn the left palm up. And then press back with your thumb. And remember to smile. There's a lot going on here. Inhale, reach up. Reach out of the rib. Imagine you're trying to pull your rib away from your hip. And then lead with that hip and rib extension. Bring it down to the floor. Slowly lower down. Elbows go out to the side. So it's like a push-up position. Right hand stays. Inhale up. Sweep with the left arm. Palm up. Hip goes back. Ground through the hips. Pull that arm back. 2 more. Arm up. You are doing so good today, Larry. Big inhale. I'm sorry. All names were supposed to be protected.
Yeah.
You begins with an L, ends with a Y. You're doing great today. Bring it down. Press up. Right arm up. Sorry, left arm up. Don't lift your right arm up now. Don't do it. Yeah. Take the left hip back. It's all right, y'all. Earlier, I told Catherine to lift her left knee and her right leg. She just stopped and looked. We're not gonna levitate today. One more time down. Lower down. Right hand stays. Last one. Left hip back. Left arm back. Open up. And now relax. All right, let's do the other side. So, friendly reminder, I know I've said it a bunch of times, it can be very different from left to right. It's not just overall body structure. It could be, did we eat? Have we had a trip to the bathroom yet? It could be a lot of different things. So don't force the twist, especially on this side. So right leg extension or right knee bent. If you start to notice that things kind of feel like they're getting stuck, bend your knee, and you might be surprised at just the amount of mobility that opens up in your body. So we have our left hand on the floor for support. We're taking the right arm up first, big inhale, reach, 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 reach. Start pulling up that hip, turning towards the left side of the body. Fold the hip and the foot in, lowering down like a push-up. Left hand stays. Inhale, right arm sweeps up. Right hip goes back, palm facing up. Push the thumb back. Inhale, big breath in at center. Exhale, sweep it up and around. Come down. Left hand stays, right arm up. Palm up, hip back, grounding the hips. Press back. At least 2 more. Big inhale. Fold it over. Left hand stays. Inhale. Hips are grounded at neutral. Twist it open. Last one. Big breath in. Exhale, bring it around. Fold the hip over. Slowly bend the elbows. Come up. Left hand stays. Bring it around. Palm up. Push it back. Beautiful. Let's come to center. From center, grabbing our yoga block, placing it between the knees and the thighs. Let's start firing up our hamstrings and our quadriceps. Hands can go out to the side. They can be flat. If you always do a flat hand, maybe just to change it up a little bit, you can try a fist with your thumbs forward, and then it keeps a more neutral wrist alignment. It can feel, it's not good or bad, it's just something to experiment with. From wherever we are, look ahead in the mirror to see that you have the same distance between the knees as what we have between the feet. With the same distance between the feet and the knees, let's pull the toes up away from the floor. Keep squeezing the yoga block And now try to lift your left heel away from the floor. So you just hover that heel, just a little bit, creating just a little bit of a spark in that hip for stability. Remember to smile, that's the most important part. Lower it down, tiny hover of the right heel, just the tiniest lift. If it starts to quiver, if you feel like a bounce or a shake in the body, or even a little like a tremor, that's very common. It could be that there's a stabilizer firing up. It could be, we call it a Golgi tendon reflex. It could be the tendon that's trying to protect you. This is not dangerous though. Just want to throw that in there. Relax. Let's try marching it in place. So squeeze, lift left, lower down. Lift right, lower down, press out with the heel and down. Imagine you're trying to push your heel towards that short edge at the top of the mat. If you were to extend your leg all the way, we want the heel to extend and to tap over that short corner of your mat. Check in with your jaw. There's a huge piece of fascia, a web of connecting tissue that goes from your hips, your feet, to your hips, to your spine, all the way up into the mandible, into the jaw. So relax, just a few more. Good. A few more means I'm not counting, I'm just watching y'all, that's what it means. Good, one more on each side until you feel that it's evened up on left and right. All right. Come up to seated, use the hands for support. Take your extra yoga block and put it between your feet at the same distance. If you start to notice cramping in your feet with the block between the feet, then you're definitely doing it right. Definitely. So let's pull the toes up, lean back a little bit, and peel up your left hip, keeping the knees level, keeping the feet level. Bring it to center. Go to the other side. Peel up your right foot. Keep holding that block, peeling up the hip, bring it to center. Take a look at the knees and feet. Heels are out, toes are in just a little bit. So it might almost look like we're going into like a pigeon toe type movement. 1, 2, 3, surprise. We're so excited, Skila, that you decided to introduce new movements today on our last session, because we're not going to see you in 2 weeks.
Thank
All right.
you, Scott.
Thank you, Eric. Over to one side. And down, good. Over to one side, let's really work on those muscles that are above the hip. If you're not feeling it yet, I mean, you're still doing it right because you have the blocks. It's going to ensure that we have the alignment to activate those muscles. But sometimes we don't feel it. It's hard, this is hard to do, but I don't know why I don't feel it. It could be neurological. So just keep at it. And there is a misconception too that things have to feel hard to be effective. Like this has to be like hurtful in some way or straining to show that we're really working the muscle. Not so. You might feel absolutely nothing, or it could just feel really challenging and we don't know why. You are swiveling through the hip girdle, which is going to help to fire up your oblique muscles and some other deep muscles that move crisscross in your body to stitch up and secure your spine. Let's do one more on each side, just sort of rocking, lifting, keep squeezing into the block on the feet. Make sure you're pigeon-toed. As soon as those toes go out, we deactivate it a little bit. All right, did it feel different? Good, okay, so here we are at center. You've got all your blocks. Come back onto your elbows. And if you are on that little perch, make sure you get your sacrum flat on the perch so it doesn't feel uncomfortable. Okay, we're gonna add in just a little bit of core work. You might wanna pull your heels back, keep holding onto that block. And if you want, try to lift both heels, just for a second. There you go. Squeeze, 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 lift, and lower, right? Lift, and lower. Good. Squeeze those knees in. Press in with your toes, out with the heels to hold the block. In with the toes, out with the heels. This is not meant to be easy, by the way, y'all. Do you feel it? Y'all are so quiet. I don't know if you're quiet because it's easy, or if you're quiet because you're like, I'm just stunned, I can't see. Concentrating. Lift and lower. 3 more. Take a breath in and lift and lower. Take a breath in. Hard exhale. Lift and lower using the breath. Big inhale. Last one. Squeeze. 1, 2, 3. Lift and lower. Good. All right. Take those blocks out. Let's come up to seated. Unrolling our mat. We're coming around to all fours. We're only standing up for a short, very short sequence today. We might use the block to help us transition smoothly. I have my left hand on the block, right hand on my hip, both toes are tucked. I'm sweeping my right foot forward, right hand on the thigh as I shift forward, pushing straight down into the block, lifting that back knee and stepping forward, bringing the block up with me. Block it like it's hot, block it like it's hot. This is a song, sorry. The song called Drop It Like It's Hot, but we're gonna block it like it's hot. All right. All right, block between the knees. Looking straight ahead, seeing that the feet are the same distance as the knee joints. Why? Because we are stacking the bones based on physics, arthrokinetics. This is the safest place for bone structure. Least amount of pressure. Let's soften our knees. Roll the shoulders back. Reach down with the edges of your fingers, your pinky fingers, to the edges of your feet. Close the eyes and lower the chin and just breathe 3 deep breaths into the chest only. Bow out the chest, feeling that the ribs rise and fall. So we're introducing a lot of stability. So firm foundation in the lower back with that yoga block in place. And then the breath is providing us upper back mobility. Big inhale. Bigger exhale. When you're ready, open the eyes. Let's look down at the floor. Sweeping our arms overhead. Big breath in. Hold it there. Rotate the pinky fingers in towards each other. Then pull up and back through the elbows. When you're ready, find your breath. Palms facing forward. Inhaling, circle the arms back. Take the hands down to your low back. It might be the heels of the hands pressing just on the side of the sacrum and buttocks. It could be crossing the hands behind us so that we have the knuckles at the low back. We could always experiment with lacing the fingers together. And when we lace the fingers, we work on straightening out the joints. Wherever we are with this today, check in that the shoulders are comfortable, since this is a lot for rotator cuffs sometimes. From here, squeezing that block, 3 big breaths into the center chest again. Big inhale, draw the elbows back. Exhale, notice there's a little drop of the ribs. Inhale, pull the ribs up. So from the inside out, we are allowing the expansion of the lungs, supported by air and pressure, to push against the spine, creating mobility with strength in the thoracic spine. We're also stretching your intestines, so healthier digestion, more energy. 1 more big inhale. And exhale. Let's take the hands onto the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, flat back, hands onto the thighs. From here, we can grasp our block, place it straight down on the mat in front of us. I have my right hand on the block again.
This time, my left hand is on my left thigh. This time I'm sliding my right foot back and lowering my right knee in my supported lunge. Taking both hands towards the floor in any position respective to the frame of your body for comfort. Sweeping that left foot back to find all fours position. From all fours, we're sweeping our feet to one side and then sitting down. Having our block really close by, lying down on our side. From side lying, we could use the block like a pillow. It might be surprising that it can feel comfortable. So as we lie down on one side and use the block under our head, we might be able to slide the bottom arm out away from the body a little bit. You could even turn your head and maybe look more up towards the ceiling. So there's just this tiny little bit of rotation in the upper body. Notice which lung is just a little more open to receive the breath in the side lying position. Notice any part of the body that might be harboring stress or tension. And when you notice that, the first response is gratitude. When the body is holding on to that stress or tension, why is it doing that? Usually protection. So when we notice stress or strain, instead of getting critical or negative with the body, gratitude first. Thank you, body, for showing me those places that are wanting protection today. And then you exhale and reassure the body it's okay to let go. When you're ready, we're rolling over onto our backs into our final meditation and resting position. And at any time, we could return to lying on our sides. We could even lie down on our stomachs. Let the body adapt in any natural way. So your legs could be straight or bent. This is where it all began today, focusing on the breath. As we are at the end of our 6-week session, we're focusing more introspectively, more on chakras 6 and 7. These energies are responsible for helping us to be a little more intuitive, tapping into your gut instinct, having that gift of discernment, intuitively being able to say with confidence, I know what is right for me. And sometimes that is apart from what a trainer has told us or what another friend has told us or even the doctor. Sometimes intuitively, we just go, I think I know what's right for me today. Tuning into the breath, breathing down into the belly, moving through the ribs and up to the heart. And then exhale, relax your heart, your ribs, and your belly. Focusing on prana, the life force, the physical component of the breath. Trusting that the body is absorbing that breath and moving it through the body in any safe way. Let's shift our awareness to the energetic breath, which is a little different. As you inhale, feel your breath move up to the middle of your brain. Then exhale, the breath leaves out of your forehead, out of the third eye. Perhaps even seeing it, visualizing 2 rays of blue light, one moving into each nostril, going straight up into the middle of the brain. As we exhale, it's a single ray of white light that leaves from the midbrain, from the third eye. And it's just this brilliant white light, like a spotlight. As we move that cool blue energy through the mind space, opening up the third eye, creating clear vision. Affirming clarity. I see. I know what is right for me. I see that. Begin to breathe a little deeper, so there's a fraction of an effort on an inhale. So maybe it's just a little deeper. And then exhale, add in that navel to spine contraction, just a fraction of effort, rounding out each cycle of breath. Inhale. Exhale, contract the belly. Firing up the energy of the core and allowing that fiery energy to move down to your toes and then across your arms to your fingers, moving the fingers and the toes. Waking up those energy channels that are extensions of the breath and the body. When you're ready, notice how the body wants to move to eventually come up to seated. We may first want to let our knees sway. We may want to hug the knees to the chest. There are a lot of different ways to prepare the body to come up. At your leisure, as we bring ourselves into any position for closing, just notice your breath. Always kind of shifting from the breath to the body to the mind. Breath, body, mind.
The wind chimes.
Oh, it's a nice touch with the wind chimes today. We are really, really, really lucky. So nice. And wherever you are, deepen the breath, big inhale. And from here, we can close together. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful.
And it's just a hail.
What? It's gonna hail?
They're saying.
Judy.
Bad storm.